What just happened? What did he say?
Said to sit quiet, and that you'll hang in 2 weeks. And then he added something like, "We'll see who's in the mood for jokes then."
Why? What did I say?
That you wanted his auntie's hat. That was the gist, and he wrote.
Great.
Ladies, gentlemen, and witches all, welcome as always. I am Cosmic, and today I'm reviewing the Hearts of Stone expansion DLC to CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3. Now, I'm a tad late to the party with this one, but I thought with the Blood and Wine expansion round the corner, I wanted to get this one done before I can get on and review that one. Now, please be aware that there will be spoilers in this review, so if you haven't played it or don't want to know what happens, go and watch another one of my reviews instead. CD Projekt Red, in my opinion, are one of the few companies to get their business practices correct when it comes to downloadable content. They have over many years gathered a lot of goodwill from fans, offering a great deal of DLC for free with the Witcher game series. Hearts of Stone, however, is a paid expansion, so it's not just a tiny DLC, but instead a 12-hour-long plus addition to the game. Hearts of Stone kicks off where any good Witcher adventure starts. No, not with killing rats in a basement, but with a monster contract. A seemingly normal event for the White Wolf, the contract is to kill an oddly mysterious monster lurking in the Oxenfurt sewers. The poster is a mysteriously well-educated and oddly stylish Olgierd von Everick, who, while being obviously brutal in nature, stands apart from his common bandit followers, who are known as the Wild Ones. The story evolves into Geralt getting into trouble with the Ophir royalty and being captured to be taken to Eastern Ophir for execution. This reintroduces the mysterious Man of Mirrors, Gaunter O'Dim, who was first introduced at the very start of The Witcher 3 at the inn in White Orchard. Without going into too much detail, because I do want you to play it and experience it for yourselves, what happens, needless to say, events unfold that indebt Geralt to the mysterious Gaunter O'Dim, which directly ties Geralt's fate to Olgierd von Everick. The Master of Mirrors owes von Everick essentially 3 wishes before he can collect a debt from von Everick, yet both men are not what they appear, in particular the Master of Mirrors, who holds a mysterious great power. The story itself makes sense, it kind of makes more sense to play it before you complete the main story of the game, and it reintroduces an old acquaintance from The Witcher 1, which is Shani, who is a medic from The Witcher 1, who now works for the Redanian army. Hearts of Stone adds a substantial amount of content to the game, which is befitting considering that it is a paid expansion. Forgetting the story and fantastic narrative content for a second, the expansion adds in a few new places to discover in Novigrad. There's no new regions, but basically northwestern Novigrad is now a hell of a lot more populated. It adds side quests, random encounters, enemies, and items. The best of these, in my opinion, is probably the Viper Witch set, the Ophir weaponry, and of course the introduction of the Rune Master. Now, instead of placing random runes into weapons and armor, a Ophiri Rune Master will use runes to create glyph words and embed them into items for a far more powerful overall effect. The Rune Master, however, is not cheap, and on top of the materials and costs that you would normally pay, you also must invest in his business to unlock higher levels of craftsmanship, and trust me, it ain't cheap. The inherent problem with the expansion is that there's a ton of running back and forth. It's a problem with The Witcher 3 overall in general, but in truth, it's the only issue the expansion comes across. In a game filled with well-written story in both its main and side quests, is Hearts of Stone worth buying for a sake of an additional story and a few minor additions to items, etc., etc.? Well, yes, it is. For the story alone, it is so worth the price. The Von Everick saga is so well told. It has fantastic humour-filled parts like a ghost-possessed Geralt attending a wedding, to really grim, sad moments like exploring the past of Olgierd von Everick and his wife. It's storytelling at its finest. Hearts of Stone starts off slowly and then it pulls you straight in, getting you invested into the characters and world once more. And it's fine even going in after, I played The Witcher and completed The Witcher months and months and months and months ago, and I just went in, loaded up my endgame save, and just went straight into it. And if you don't even have an endgame save and you just want to start again but just go straight for the Heart of Stone, you can create a specific Heart of Stone GAVE file that will give you a level 37, 36 Geralt to just go and play. And it's so easy to pick up, and I found that I thought I would struggle getting back into the world after doing so much. I put 100 hours plus into The Witcher 3 the first time, and I thought, I don't want to go through all that, and is it going to be hard to get invested in the world once more? And it really, really wasn't. I booted it up, and within 10 minutes I was ensnared once more. Now, one mission that stood out to me was the one where you have to gather a set of people to form a criminal group to conduct a heist on a well-fortified auction house in Oxenfurt. That mission was constructed so well and it was paced so well that no point in that mission, and that mission must have lasted maybe 30-45 minutes, did I become disinterested. It was really interesting. There was lots of twists and turns. There was choices that made actual consequence, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. And that just speaks about the expansion. This expansion is a hell of a lot of fun. The story overall is filled with backstabbing, intrigue, and of course emotion. The introduction to Ophir was nice to add a little diversity into the game in terms of something a bit different from the main game. I played 100 hours in, Novigrad and Velen and Skellige, and it's just nice to have something a little bit different or added into that. I disagree, however, that people of colour were placed in the game as a response to the Game So White hashtag attacks that CD Projekt Red received after the game came out. Because Ophir and its people have been in the Witcher franchise before. It's been in the lore, it's well established. Plus that the whole argument on their side was utter bullshit in the case of The Witcher 3. I'm not saying that's the case for everything because, games need diversity, but in case of The Witcher 3, it was utter bullshit, but I'm not going to get into that. All I will say is that the developers created a game set in the north of a vast, diverse world. Yes, they should have had a few more people of colour in there, here and there, just to add a little spice to things. However, the law of the setting dictates that the people in that area at that time, like the Redanians and like the natives from Velen, are highly racist to everybody, including dwarfs, including non-humans, elves, Ophirians, witchers, the Northmen, even other Northmen, even other white Northmen, they're racist to them. They're racist to everybody in that region. So it makes sense that less and less people of colour from Ophir and Kovir and other eastern lands, even non-humans like elves and dwarves, fewer and fewer would be seen in the north at that time, especially with the witch hunts occurring from the Church of the Eternal Fire. It just makes sense. And, a game, for the sake of a game to make thematic sense, you have to keep to its lore, you have to keep to its setting, you have to keep to your vision. If you start just putting things in just to please everybody, it's going to be a mess. I recently reviewed a game that was set in African mythology. Now, that game is all Africans. What would, in an African mythology game, what if they said, we have a game here that's set in African mythology, but how are we going to appeal to young white men or young white women? Or do you know what we're going to do? We're just going to throw some white people in there. It wouldn't work. It doesn't make any thematic sense. And your game has to make thematic sense. And I'm simply saying that I felt that those particular attacks against CD Projekt Red were unjustified, they were unwarranted, and frankly, the whole argument side of things, they were just wrong. Ultimately, The Witcher needs to make thematic sense. It is a narrative-driven game, ultimately, and it's all about the characters, it's all about the lore, it's all about the setting, it's all about the politics, and it has to make sense. You can't just throw in everything in there so that everybody's happy. It's not going to work like that. And like I say, I'm glad that they put in Ophir into this expansion, and to add in a little bit more of the Witcher world, so you get to see the culture of Ophir and things like that. But I'm just saying it's not set in Ophir, right? The main game isn't set in Ophir, it's set in Novigrad and Velen, and that's just the way it is. And I don't think that CD Projekt Red were being racist by doing that or anything like that. That's just the story of The Witcher, and that's the end of it. But anyways, got a little off track there. Overall, Heart of the Stone is a solid premium expansion for what is one of the best RPGs in years. The story is well written, it's well voiced, it's captivating. The content additions are great and leave Northwestern Novigrad far more populated and ultimately far more interesting because there was nothing really there before. It's well worth picking up and playing through it, so it certainly has my recommendation on that front. So that is my review of the Heart of Stone DLC for The Witcher 3. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Do like, subscribe, leave a comment. Make sure you keep an eye out for the Blood and Wine review coming up in the next week or so. And I will see you next time.